We're going to be making homemade tomato soup. Now, we're going to actually be using home canned tomato juice, but you can actually use regular, just plain tomato juice from the store. And what you're going to need to start out with is 4 quarts of tomato juice, butter, sugar, and some white flour.
Okay, first thing you want to do first is you want to take 1 stick of butter, place it in the pan, take a rubber spatula, scrape the butter off of the label here, and you want that to be completely melted before you add the flour. What I usually do is just swirl it around the pan until it's completely melted. Also, you want your butter to be at room temperature. Cold is fine. It just takes longer for it to melt in the pan.
Go.
Okay, the next step is you want to portion out 8 tablespoons of flour. What you do, take a knife, level off your teaspoon. You want to level it. You want to level it out, and you want to portion out prior to putting it in the pan, because then you'll know exactly how much flour you have for the roux. And that's what we're making, by the way, is the roux for the base of the soup. So that's 3. This is 4. We need 8 total.
Yes.
Okay, 8 total.
8 tablespoons, right?
Of flour, yeah.
8 tablespoons of flour.
Okay, you want to take your whisk, and as you see in the pan, the butter is completely melted. You want to have your thing on medium heat, and then you just pour your flour in, and you want to whisk, 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 till you come to a paste.
Make it a smooth paste, right?
Yes, yes. You want to make a smooth consistency. You don't want no lumps. Okay, prior to this, I took my juice and I portioned it down into a bowl. So what I do is I take at least 2 cups of juice to place into the roux.
Like, let you mix it a little better.
Right, and so you want to whisk the juice into the roux to get a little thick. And also it helps you determine to make sure there's no lumps. So you're going to get somewhat like almost a pudding consistency to the juice. Okay, as you see in the pan, you're almost at a pudding consistency. This is where you want your roux to be with the juice. And it looks pretty smooth to me, so we can go ahead and add the additional juice. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pour it into the current pan very slowly so it doesn't splash. Smells good, by the way.
Yum.
And then you want to go ahead, whisk it a little bit.
You got to heat it up. Make sure you heat it up because you got to mix the butter and the flour, and it might.
Right. So once you have it blended, then you'll just add your sugar. Now it's called for 1.5 cups of sugar. What I do is,
yeah.
I'm sorry, 1.5 cup of teaspoon. So what I do is I start off with a teaspoon in there at a time. So I'm probably going to start with 4 teaspoons. And then add sugar to taste. You're just looking for not too sweet of a taste. You just want the acidity to be out of the soup and give it a little bit of sweetness to offset the tomato juice. Okay, as you can see, we are starting to get the consistency of the soup, and the roux is making the juice thick, which looks great. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to add the sugar. So what I have done is, got one of my little bowls here, And I'm going to portion out 4 teaspoons of sugar.
Now you start out with 4. Once you add it to the soup and you mix it in, and you taste it. If it tastes a little acidy or tart, you can add a little bit more sugar to, add it to taste.
I'm really careful with this. Okay, that's 3. 4. Okay, so we have 4 tablespoons. So you just swish it around in the soup. Now, like Jeremy said, after this you can taste it and then just add sugar to taste, because you don't want it to be overpowering with sweetness. Some people may like that, but not in soup.
And that is how you make homemade tomato soup.